Welcome to Lock Picking Legend.
And yes, you are watching Lock Picking Legend. Legends gathered in their masses, just like witches of black masses. Hang on a minute. Hang on. Is that the right? I know I put legends in instead of generals, but is Black Sabbath's most famous song, War Pigs, does it really open with rhyming masses with masses? Yep, we've deviated early this time, people. Anyway, we're looking at the thumbnail of a video that was sent to me by a friend. He said, don't watch this, have a look at the thumbnail and then watch it. So what have we got? It's another one of these life hack things. So we've got some kind of blank, some kind of jism. I'm sorry. Look how he's adhered. That's adhered.
In British English, this is normally pronounced as adhere. Adhere.
No.
The bow of the key down. And I mean, it's somewhat sensual, isn't it? I wonder if that's intentional or is unconscious, just key jizzed. Anyway, locksmiths go crazy. I mean, that's what I think. You know, I've been dealing with locksmiths for decades, and it's just, they're just crazy people. It's madness. Locksmiths go crazy. Open all locks in 2 minutes with this method. Now this channel's got nearly 1 million subscribers, and this video, which is 6 days old, has had over 500,000 views, right? Now I think we're going to learn a little bit less about lockpicking and locksmithing and a little bit more about YouTube. So let's go. I haven't watched this video. We will be doing that together. Legends gathered.
No.
So here we go, people. There it is, the cycle of life. This mortal coil gently unwinding. I haven't seen this video, so I don't know what to expect. Locksmiths go crazy. Open all locks in 2 minutes with this method. Yeah, I reckon that's what's going to happen. Let's go. What's the 1 for? 1. Maybe that's lock number 1 of all the locks that he's going to open in 2 minutes. I mean, how many locks are there in the world? It's got to be in the billions. This could be a long video, people. He's rather sensually stroking the blade of the key with no explanation. I mean, with the jism we've already had, this video might not be the type of video I originally thought. Maybe locksmiths do go crazy in a way that won't be appropriate for this channel. We'll see. Okay, he's putting it in the lock. He's put it in a vise. He's put... Oh, okay, so he's measuring up the spacing of the pins. So it could be impressioning. This might be impressioning does open a lot of locks. All the locks in 2 minutes, probably not. But maybe all the locks he's got in his garage, like one. I'll tell you what, put your guess based on the information we've already seen. Put your guess on what technique he's going to use here. I'm saying impressioning, because this is something you would do if you're a beginner impressioner. You would mark where you're likely to see the impressions, because you can get your first little files in there. Okay. Whoa! That is some impressioning file, though. That's no Glardon Velour Swiss number 4. Look at that. Something like that sunk the Titanic, didn't it? He's got the marks on his key, but if you look at them, they're not actually spaced correctly. if we're counting from the tip of the key, the space between 2 and 3 is wider than all the others. Oh, how surprising that one of these weird lock hack videos is absolute BS. Anyway, it still may be impressioning. Let me know your thoughts. It ain't impressioning. Not going that deep it isn't, and certainly not without putting it in the lock first. He's making a bump key. And yet look at it. Look at the state of it. Oh, hey? How did you see it suddenly change? A bit of a jump cut there. Let's go back and watch it change. Right, and change. Look at that! I mean, I'd be scared of putting that in a lock because you're going to have a hell of a time getting that out of the lock, let alone opening the lock. Look at it. That's one of those keys that you protect your locks with. I can't remember what they're called. I'll put a picture of one on the screen with the name of it now. But yeah, that is possibly, I mean, maybe it's not a bump key. I mean, it isn't a bump key, but maybe he thinks it is. But look at it. It looks more like he's going to make another one of them, weld them both to a pair of pliers, and make some kind of weird dinosaur cutter. Not to cut dinosaurs. The metaphor was dinosaur teeth. Yeah, here we go. Oh my God, look at the last one. Look, once you put that in a lock, imagine the pin in that last trough, we'll call it. That's not coming back out of the lock. Look at the state of that. The only thing you're bumping with that, mate, is your reputation. Open all the locks. Locksmiths go crazy. Yeah, they are watching this nonsense. Yeah, look, I've got a real close-up version and I'll make it get closer. Look at the absolute state of that. I mean, it's shocking. You're not getting that out of that lock. Not a chance. And I'll show you why. Just imagine a pin sitting there. How is that? How are you going to get that out? How are you going to get that out? And you know, I was mentioning those jump cuts. Well, we didn't see him doing things like this, did we? Filing these all down at the same angle. And I'll tell you what I've done. I drew a line and then I just copied and pasted it along all those 5, whatever you want to call them. They're not peaks and troughs like a bump key, and they're identical. And that's weird. Look, I'll show you. See? That's the identical red line that I just copied and pasted, and they all happen to be at the same angle to open his 1-pin lock. If that. It's just so weird. Here's the 2 keys together. The one that was in the vise, and then one that he's got out that he held up afterwards. And you know, there's something weird going on here. There's something very bizarre. I mean, just look at the end of both of them. Why? I mean, there's so much deception going on so many levels that actually isn't required. This man's got more deception than is required. I mean, it's almost like this is, you know, when you hear someone is a compulsive liar, that doesn't mean that they lie a lot. It means that they are compulsive, it's obsessive. They need to. You know, this geezer just needs to keep lying. Now there are some delicious bump keys, beautifully made. You can see the one in the middle is that more arc kind of version, and you need a different cutting wheel on your cutter to do that. You can do it by hand, but when you're mass producing them you have to change the cutter. And then you've got the one at the far right there, which is like, they're like semi-hexagons, which the one on the far left is slightly, but you can still see there's a difference. And that's the kind of detail, with the shoulders taken off, that quality manufacturers pay to making bump keys, because then they will open loads of locks rather than the monstrosity this fella's made, which is likely to damage your lock at best.
We shall now return to scheduled programming.
Little brush. There you go. Now it's very interesting that he chose to have it against the black back of his vise, because you can't actually see how terrible it is. Although I actually think he's changed the key again. You know, there's these little jump cuts happening. What's it say? This key, called the bump key, has small ramps. That is shocking. There he puts his lock with one pin in to the vise. Now, come on, this is basic. I've got nothing against WD-40. It's a great lubricant for many things. It's proved itself, it's stood the test of time. But if you're going to lubricate your locks, and as beginners, I would advise you do that, especially if you're being given locks that have been used for a while, which is usually the case, or that have been around lockpicking groups. But use graphite, and make sure you use the right graphite flakes, because if you get the wrong size, it can actually cause more problems, which is what WD-40 does. It will give you a quick lubrication, but in the long term, it will actually attract more dust and grit and dirt, and it will cause you more problems further down the line. So if you must lube, sorry, jism, lube, stroking the key. If you must, use graphite. And it's actually amazing for raking, bumping, single pin picking. Of course, it can make a lock pickable that previously wasn't. If there's a tiny fragment of grittage in there that's stopping a pin moving properly. But as we know, clearly this bloke hasn't got a Danny LaRue, so it hardly matters. He might as well be spraying Lynx Africa in there.
It's become a graphite promotional show.
Oh, ramps throw pins up when key is tapped. I mean, look at it. I just wouldn't risk that in a lock. Is that even the same key again? The tape keeps changing position. Sounded like there was, what, one pin in there? Probably one that's been modified as well. I mean, I'm only guessing, of course, but because I'm right. I mean, look how loose the plug is. You could probably bump it with a feather. That is the most peculiar bumping technique I've seen ever. Just slowly tapping it in. He's now using his thumb and finger as a dampener, which is, you know, it's acceptable if you haven't got a decent set of dampeners, but if you're making a video about bumping, you know, dampeners are just the default setting. You just use them. It makes it such an easier technique to do if you've got dampeners. You can get the spacing set right, and of course you don't have to keep resetting it when you fail to bump it. You just crack away at it like a woodpecker. A little jump cut there. Oh, just pull it out a bit. You know, just guess. Yeah, hang on a minute. Let's watch that again. That looked... I mean, I am being biased here, but that looked like it turned when he hadn't hit it. I wonder if we can slow it down and just check on that. I think we can. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Oh, there's the jump. That's the first jump cut where he took all the pins out. Guessing the distance. Ah, yeah. Nah. I'm sorry, mate. Sorry, mate. This is absolute nonsense. Locksmiths go crazy. Oh, no. And now he's got a dampener, but that isn't a dampener, of course. That's actually what they castrate cattle with. They put that over the animals', I'll use the medical term, testicles, to starve them of blood. And after a few weeks or days, I'm not well practiced. Well, I've never practiced it, but I know that that's what they do. The balls just fall off. They're terrible for bumping for a few reasons. One, how do you make sure you've got the right distance between the key and the lock? How do you know? And the second reason is because he hasn't removed the shoulder. Look at the shoulder on that key. How many times do you think you're going to have to hit that bump key, and I'm being generous using that phrase, that term, before you just cut that castration wheel in half? 5? Although with his one pinned lock, maybe 5 hits is all it needs. Put a gasket on key so key moves better inside lock. Yeah, that is certainly why you don't do that. Oh right, just keep pointing at that bit because every beginner who's never bumped a lock is really learning from you just sticking your thingy bob in there. Oh god, another sensual line. What a surprise. And there you... Yeah, okay. Locksmiths go crazy. Well, that's... Not only is that absolutely ridiculous, but this is only halfway through his video. So maybe he's going to open all the locks in 2 minutes. Eh? Oh, 2! 2? And he's got some kind of saw blade. Okay. This is 2 of what? I mean... You know, 1 million subscribers, over 500,000 views, and anyone watching this is already more stupid than when they started watching it. They know less about lockpicking than when they started. Incredible. Steel rule, line. Okay. Right. The phrase hammer, crack, walnut comes to mind, but you know, there you go. That would have been so hot, that would have stuck to his thumb and finger there. That background noise is his, not mine. My background noise is the other one. Okay, we're measuring up again. Maybe he's making a bump device.
1 minute, 37 seconds later.
He's made a rake. He's made a rake. Locksmiths go crazy. But heat shrink. Get one of those jet lighters, easy peasy. Done. I mean, you know, that's not a great rake. It hasn't got, you know, it's kind of like a bastardized city rake, but it's going to be so gnarly in the lock. It's you know, you're not going to be able to do your, you know, there's so much you can do with raking. It's not just in out. There's also vertical movements and elliptical movements, and the more gnarly your rake is, the less movement you're going to be able to achieve in the lock, meaning the less chance of opening locks you're going to have. I guess he's making a tension tool. He's made an ionic one. He's made a vapor deposition one. How did it go black? How did it completely change? It doesn't matter. Don't worry about the truth. Oh no, that doesn't matter. You know, you've got some beginner, you've got some 14-year-old kid at home copying this. He banged out his coat hanger to make a tension wrench. Watch, eh? What? Do you just have to make a wish or something to turn it into a mass-produced, commercially available tension wrench? And now take note of the rake, which has lost a lot of its gnarliness, because he obviously realised that didn't work, even though he's only got one pin in his lock. He couldn't move it in the lock, so he had to file those down. I mean, there's your classic city rake. You know, not that different to what he's made. But notice how it's not gnarly. Notice how there's nothing in there at an angle that's going to cause it to get trapped in the lock. Notice that it's narrow enough so that you can get some of that vertical movement. You can get that elliptical raking. You can rock that, but you can also zip it. You can also scrub it. You know, that's not going to get stuck in your lock. I mean, it's quite interesting, you know, when we look at these kind of life hack and these kind of lock picking, locksmithing videos, and what they're doing to, you know, I am against them. I think they, as I've said, they put beginners off, because beginners try this rubbish, it doesn't work, they damage their lock, their parents have to get a locksmith out, and they just give up. And I'm passionate about lockpicking. I want people to get into it. It's brought so much to my life. It's given me a community. I've met so many good people through lockpicking. You know, it's not just picking locks. And these videos that are just clickbait, that are just deceptive, that are just making money because they know how to work the algorithm. This fella's channel, this million subscriber nearly channel, he knows how to work the algorithm. He knows what to name his videos. He knows what length to make them. He knows what thumbnails to use. The last thing on his mind is the actual content, because that doesn't really matter. As long as he gets the click, and as long as he gets his ads in there, that's all right. And he's made thousands of them. And so the content suffers, YouTube suffers, and in this instance, as well as many others, the lockpicking suffers. And it's a real shame. You know, and when you're into lockpicking, you are, you know, lockpicking legend, we do some advanced stuff as well, but I want to try and get beginners motivated, and I want to try and show beginners how it works, because it's all very well buying picks and buying practice locks, but you know, I can't watch any more videos of people saying nothing on one, got something on two. It's just not helping. So that's why I've cut locks in half. That's why I go into detail. That's why I try and have a laugh. Because it is a laugh. It's fun. And I'll tell you what, interestingly, I watched a video of Chris Ramsey's earlier. Chris Ramsey's a magician. And he had a very successful channel, 7 million subscribers. 7 million, right? He's been invited by YouTube, a few years ago this was, to do presentations, and, you know, I think other sponsors have sent him around the world to do things. But because the nature of the platform is changing, so is the content. And then, by which I mean, so is the value of the content. And here's a little bit of the video I watched of him just this morning, actually. And I didn't know I was going to make this video. I hadn't seen the Locksmiths Go Crazy video. But listen to what he says.
It's tough to compete. It's tough to compete. It's tough to compete with constant entertainment and stimulation. Always, all the time, increasingly, more and more. And to have to do that, not only to have to do that every week, but to have to make it better every week and make it more and just crazier. And you have to go above and beyond. And Mr. Beast does this, like I mentioned. He does a great job of that.
And he's a tosspot.
But how many people are Mr. Beast? You know, he's one person in a sea of creators. Like
thankfully,
it's really hard to keep up. I'm not blaming anything on Mr. Beast, but it's the culture. It's the clickbait culture. It's that, you know, everybody's just seeking that next fix, and if they don't have it, like, how many people in my YouTube comments being like, video starts in 3 minutes? It's like, yeah, dude, it's okay. You can click forward, you know, but everybody's like, we need to get to the thing right now. We need to put it in my veins, like, instantly. I need to get gratification. I need to get this satisfaction constantly. It needs to be plugged into me. Plug me into the matrix. Make me feel something instantly, constantly, forever.
He's exactly right. The glory days of YouTube were like 2010, 2011, 2012, where it was like a couple of beers down the pub with your mate. But now you're sitting alone in a dirty toilet in a crack house. Disposable, meaningless rubbish. Like our friend here with Locksmiths Go Crazy, who ironically his channel is called The Maker. Yeah, okay.
We shall now return to scheduled programming.
Okay. Now, he put that in there in such a gentle manner, almost as if he didn't want to twist that plug, because it would give away the no pinness of the lock. Have a look how he puts this wrench in there, and tell me if you've ever wrenched a lock like this. Look. he didn't even look, that's an amazing little jump cut. Yeah, put that in. Yeah, okay, just do that, because that's, yeah, I mean, you can rock, that will work, but having no pins is better. Absolutely freaking ridiculous. There you go. Locksmiths Go, thumbs up. I'm not one to curse, but up yours. Yeah. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, because it's very hard carving out a channel in the lockpicking niche with, you know, the way YouTube works. And if you didn't enjoy this video, maybe go and have a look at some of the other ones. We do some amazing cross-section videos where we cross-section locks the other way to what you're probably used to, so you can actually see the pin stack operating, you know, in working with leashes, working with pick guns and you know, SPP and all sorts. And if you like that sort of stuff, please subscribe. So there you go. There'll be another video next week, and I'll actually pick some locks, and I've got some really exciting stuff coming up. Take care, people. Best wishes, and ta-da.
No.
Legendary.
But it's a
especially important for getting attractive women to go crazy for you.